Hi, Charlie Kasorik, Jackbench Woodworking, and today I want to show you a little tip, trick, hack, whatever you want to call it, something I did to make it easier to operate the blast gate on my table saw. And basically all I did is I took a stick and I bolted a stick onto the end of the blast gate with a piece of angle iron, and on the other end of the stick I put a handle and I positioned it so that I can operate it from standing in front of the table saw. Because the truth of the matter is that if it's not easy, I won't do it. I would end up either leaving it wide open all the time or I'd have it closed all the time. Honestly, I'm not going to walk around the saw every time I need to turn it on and operate the blast gate. So I'll show you right now exactly what it looks like. Okay, so here's a little different perspective on this, a little different angle. Like I said, I got the stick that goes from the blast gate over to the front of the saw, and I happen to have the industrial saw stop. And with this particular saw, the box to access the motor goes right to the edge of the table extension. So what I did, because of that, the stick actually rides over the top of that box. So what I did, I put a few pieces of felt underneath the stick so that it wouldn't scratch up the saw and that it would ride a little more smoothly along there. Depending on the placement of your blast gate and the configuration of your saw, you might want to configure this a little differently. But either way, it's very handy to be able to operate the blast gate from the front of the saw. Here's a close-up view of the handle from underneath the saw. You can see that I took a few scraps of wood and I fashioned a few guides to hold the handle steady when I operated it. In most cases you would have to also support the handle from underneath, but in my case I didn't have to because the stick is already supported by the motor box. Okay, so I took this thing off of the saw temporarily just so you could get a better look at it, and it's just what I said, stick. Bolted onto the gate with a handle on the other end. The stick, the one I happen to use, it's about 3/8 inch thick, about an inch wide, and I glued this little wider piece on the end so I'd have something to bolt the bracket onto. There are the felt dots that I mentioned earlier, and the handle is a piece of walnut, and what I did when I made the handle, I stood in front of the saw and I reached out and to see, where my hand naturally went to when I reached under the saw. And then I also made note of what angle I naturally held my hand at, when I did that. And I took this piece of walnut and just fast and dirty, I went to my belt sander and just started shaping it and playing around with it until I had something that worked well for me. And it's just that simple. Okay, so before I wrap this up, I want to give you a little rundown on the general configuration setup that I have over here. So normally my router table is placed in here alongside of the table saw. And the thing that people might ask about is why did I place this hose coming down where I did? Because it's not past the end of the fence rails. Normally you would have that hose come down past the end of the fence rails. So why did I put it here? What was he thinking? Okay, what I was thinking is I didn't want this to interfere with my router table. So that's why I put it where I did. And it really isn't a big issue. So my fence slides, right past the hose without a problem. And I can get up to about a 30-inch wide cut on the table saw before that hose interferes at all. It's very, very rare that I cut more than a 30-inch wide anything on the saw. And on those rare occasions when I do, I have a quick disconnect on this hose so I can take the hose off, get it out of the way, and for that one particular cut, I just don't have dust collection on the table saw. It's so rare that it's not a concern for me. So anyway, I hope you like this video. I hope you like the little, my idea of attaching a stick to the blast gate. And if you like this, please, share it with your friends, hit the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.